Okay, good afternoon, everyone. Thanks for coming. So this is the 1-year anniversary of the fire last year, and there's been a lot of inquiries from the media. So we did want to answer some of your questions, and rather than see everyone individually, we invited you here so that we can answer some of your questions, okay? So
the date is basically March 20. Next month is going to be, she's due to court. What are we to expect? That, and how's it been till now? It is 1 year.
Yeah, so it's 1 year from the date the house was set on fire. It's been 1 year since her life was turned upside down. 1 year since really an attempt on her life. What we anticipate at the next court date is we are waiting for the state to do what's called the Bill of Particulars, to give us some particulars regarding exactly what they claim the criminal conduct was specifically, so that we can start addressing that specifically for court. There are still more records that we are waiting for. We have seen some records, but there's more that we're waiting for as well.
I know there was some backlash regarding revealing the identity of this this man. He calls himself till now by S. But you did get access to those records now.
We got access to some initial records. We're still waiting on a lot more. We have about 10 days worth of records.
What other records specifically are you waiting for or hoping to receive?
So we're looking for the remainder of the hospital records. We have 10 days of those. And to the extent they're relevant, some of the treatment records subsequent to that. There's, I believe, some rehabilitation type treatment. I don't have the specifics on it yet, so we are still waiting on that.
I think a lot of people are wondering how far we are away from a potential trial. I mean, how far away do you think we are?
You know, it's hard to tell. It's rare that there are dates certain provided for criminal trials. It is possible that we have a trial before the end of the year or the beginning of next year. Obviously, nothing within the next few months, as we're still sorting through a lot.
Now, this morning, when you announced that you were having this press conference, you also released a statement calling this a witch hunt this past year. Talk a little bit more on behalf of Kimberly Sullivan and what you meant exactly by that.
Okay, great. Thank you for asking that. Well, I mean, really, from the second the news broke, from the second her arrest broke, it has been a witch hunt. If you go online, the comments online have been nothing short of vicious from day one across almost every platform. There's Reddit groups set up on this case, and it's nothing but backlash and venom towards her. And even some of the media, you know, we see House of Horrors, Evil Stepmother, and then you have the so-called media that likes to do their documentaries, so-called. They're, you know, they make them look like documentaries about the case and exposing stuff about the case, which is very slanted, is very negative towards her, contains a lot of false information, and really just stirs up this whole witch hunt mentality, the lynch mob mentality. So, I mean, she's spent a year essentially in hiding, you know, not even able to go out and walk in her own neighborhood because of the backlash based on these false allegations.
The hospital staff told police right after he was admitted that he was 68 pounds, had a body mass index of 11, where under 16 is starvation, under 13 is life-threatening. How did he end up that way?
I don't know that he was 68 pounds. I have yet to see any evidence that he was 68 pounds. And respectfully, it's not on us to prove or explain how he ended up that way. What I can tell you is he was not restrained within the home. He was not prevented from accessing food. He was provided food, water, and shelter. The only crime that was committed here was the setting of that house on fire.
Did, in your talks with Kimberly over the last year, did she ever get into why it seemed some of her friends didn't even know that this man, who was a boy, even existed?
Yes, and we've also talked about her friends that did know he existed, and the people that did know he was alive.
And what did she say about some of these friends who didn't even know she had a stepson that existed?
Some didn't have to know. I mean, we don't share everything that happens in our home with every person we encounter. She kept a very close circle.
Sullivan this morning, 1 year since this all happened. What's her mental state like today?
You know, today's a rough day for her. I mean, her life was turned upside down last year. We've all seen the body cam video of that frantic night. The house is on fire. She's directing the the responding officers into the home where she points out that S was. Despite a lot of the reporting or the commentary, a lot on the YouTubers that like to say that she was, you know, more concerned about her dog. If you watch that video, that was not the case. She says, "My stepson is in there. Get him out." But going back to your question, her life was turned upside down. She's been out of her home. She's been monitored. Her face has been plastered over the news all over the world for a woman who's done nothing wrong.
There were also claims that S hadn't had a shower or a haircut in a very long time. Does she deny that as well?
She encouraged him to shower and bathe for years. The fact that he didn't, he was 31 years old. She can't forcibly pick him up and throw him into a shower.
Is she denying that no abuse occurred at all on this person?
She did not abuse him.
What about the homeschooling? Like, did she ever teach him or did he ever learn? I know that was a point of contention at one point.
You heard his statement that he released. He was very well spoken, so clearly she did a good job. He read books. He's very well spoken.
Does she believe her husband, who's deceased, had any part in any sort of abuse with this person?
You know, I don't really want to get into what she may believe about the husband, but, you know, depending on what comes out at trial. But honestly, those doors were open. There was food there. There was no restraint. There was no captivity. None of that.
What do you want to see happen over the next couple of months as we wait for trial? What information specifically are you waiting for?
We're waiting for additional medical records, and we're actually waiting for the bill of particulars. And that is, we're waiting for the state to really their whole theory of the case and really to explain what charges they're going to ultimately go with and how they claim those statutes were violated. Okay? Are they claiming that she had a padlock on that door up until the date of this incident? Are they charging her with something different? We don't know yet the details of what they're claiming until they file a long form information or respond to our bill of particulars. So we are waiting for some more of that. But ultimately, our defense is the same. She's done nothing wrong, whether it was a year ago or 5 years ago. So we're going to be prepared regardless.
Is there any indication a plea deal could come down soon, or is that still a few months away as well?
I don't see anything on the immediate horizon.
Another topic was his teeth, that he had broken teeth. Is it similar to the showering situation where there was food available but he decided not to eat, or what happened with his broken teeth?
You know, I haven't seen anything with respect to broken teeth. From what I've seen, you know, he from a hygiene standpoint, it doesn't appear he took good care of himself. But specifically to the teeth, I know that there was food, he was eating. Not much else I can say about that.
Is there any sort of responsibility on a stepmother to make sure, even if this her stepson didn't have great hygiene, that there's some responsibility to make sure he takes care of himself a little bit?
After 18 years old, I don't believe so. You know, I don't think you know, another adult has the obligation to force another adult to take care of themselves. You know, you can't force someone to get up and take a shower. You can't force someone to make good food choices. That's ultimately on them. We're not dealing with a child. We're not dealing with some young, helpless child that was starved. That didn't happen here.
But we're talking about, yes, maybe after 18 years old, there is no chance. But there were many years that no one knew that this young boy was in this home, in this room. And there's proof of things going old while he was growing old. There's no chance that this woman actually didn't care for this kid, at least when he was a kid.
Well, she cared for him. She made sure there was food in the home. She made sure there was food accessible. She offered to take him out all the time. She never locked him in a room. She never deprived him of food. She never did any of those things. And people were aware. Was he out and about? No. But he wasn't hidden or held captive.
And just to clarify, of the 10 days of medical records, I believe you said that you do have from the hospital, to clarify, nothing says 68 pounds from what you have so far?
I haven't seen it.
The
Do you
claim,
think she can get a fair trial in Waterbury?
I hope so.
Are you going to ask for a change of venue, or-
That's yet to be determined. We're hopeful that we could get a fair trial. And part of the reason why we are often here expressing our position is to try and ensure our client gets a fair trial. There's a lot of pretrial publicity, and we want to make sure that her side is heard and that people are reminded about the important constitutional rights, the presumption of innocence, and the fact that the state carries the burden. The state's got to convince the jury, and they got to agree unanimously, that my client has committed a crime. It's not enough to have some outrageous allegations. It's not enough to have some crazy headlines that are going to make people say, oh, or ah. He's going to need to get on the stand. They're going to need to present evidence that he was held captive, okay? I have yet to see any locks. I have yet to see any restraints. I have yet to see any credible evidence or witnesses that are going to be put forward. They're going to say he was locked in a room. In fact, what I've seen is quite the opposite.
why do you believe he would set the house on fire and come up with this, what you must believe is an elaborate fake story?
We have some ideas about that. Honestly, some of that's really going to be the basis of the cross-examination. We believe that he was motivated in some respects. But
By what?
that's something that'll come out of trial, if and when he takes the stand.
What do you say? Wouldn't he have to take the stand if he's the victim of the complainant?
I don't see how the state proves a case. I mean, if he's claiming he was held captive, I haven't seen any witness statement that's going to corroborate that. I know of no one who's going to say that they saw him locked in a room. The only person who has said that is him.
What about the sisters, the siblings in the house?
Like I said, no one has said that he was locked in a room but him.
What about the urine and the feces in his room? He claimed he only had access to a radio and a little bit of water every day.
Yeah.
What about those claims? I mean,
I'd like to see some evidence of them. I didn't see any urine or feces in that room.
Has she been to the house?
Last question.
What has she been doing for the past year? I mean, she's not working, is she? Or is she?
Unfortunately, given the attention of the case, it's really difficult for her to find work. She's just trying to pass the time until this horrible ordeal is over and she can get back on with her life and just resume the normal life that she had before.
Is she back on Blake Street?
No.
Is she
No.
planning to?
I don't believe so. So,
Okay.
thank you, everyone. Have a
you.
great day.
Thank
Thanks
you.
for coming.
Thank you.
All right.
That was just the press conference for the attorney of Kimberly Sullivan. Just to remind you about the Waterbury captivity case, about a year ago, firefighters responded to a home in Waterbury for a fire, and they found what they said was a man that weighed about 68 pounds. He told police at the time that he had been held inside his stepmother's home for almost 20 years. He did go to the hospital. He is in recovery. Kimberly Sullivan's attorney, as you just heard yourself, has been saying from the beginning that his client is innocent. He says that this young man, who is now 32 years old, was never restrained. He was provided food. He was provided water. That is not what the young man told police in Kimberly Sullivan's arrest report. He says that he was given water from time to time, sometimes only a glass a day. He was rarely given food. He said this has been happening since he was a young boy. We do know from teachers who taught him in the Waterbury School District at the time that from the age of 5 years old, they said he often came to school hungry. We do know DCF was called on several occasions, though they never found the allegations substantiated. Her attorney had a lot to say. He said he's holding this press conference because there's so much pretrial publicity surrounding this case, and he wants to make sure that his client, Kimberly Sullivan's voice is heard. He says they are still waiting for the state to give them a bill of particulars, what they claim the criminal conduct is in this case. The attorney claims that he has not seen a lock on the door that the boy claimed he was living in. He has not seen any of the other evidence that the boy claims regarding not being able to use the bathroom. We had Dylan Fear in there, our reporter, who asked him straight up, why were there people who claimed they didn't even know that this stepson existed? The attorney said that, Kimberly Sullivan kept a close circle. That was his argument for that. Dylan also asked him about the fact that, records show that the boy had very, very bad hygiene, very bad teeth. He had a body fat level that was below what doctors would call a livable level. The attorney didn't really have much to say about that. He says he's still waiting on some hospital records, some treatment records. He says he believes that this victim was motivated to tell these stories, but would not go into any further detail, saying that we would hear about that on cross-examination if this case goes to trial and if this young man, this 32-year-old, takes the stand. We did get a statement from the attorney for this young man, and I'm going to read it now for you. Gene Riccio says, this case is going to be decided in a courtroom, not in a press conference. We will continue our efforts to protect the interest of our client throughout the criminal justice process. Nothing is going to change that. Kimberly Sullivan is expected in court again around March 12th. When asked if we thought this case could go to trial, the attorney for her said that he thinks this could go to trial before the end of the year or at the beginning of next year. We will, of course, attend all court hearings and keep you updated with everything that we know the moment we know it.